Attention all Canadian seniors and those approaching retirement. If you're receiving or planning to receive Canada Pension Plan or Old Age Security benefits, what I'm about to share with you today could significantly impact your financial future. The government has just officially confirmed the new CPP and OAS payment amounts for 2026, and some of these changes are going to shock you. Whether you're already retired or planning your retirement, you need to understand these numbers right now because they affect every single Canadian counting on government pensions. Let's start with something that's going to surprise many of you. The maximum monthly Canada Pension Plan retirement pension for someone starting at age 65 in 2026 has been officially set at $1,433.62. Now, before you get too excited or too disappointed, you need to understand that very few Canadians actually receive this maximum amount. This is the absolute ceiling, and reaching it requires a very specific contribution history that most people simply don't have. To qualify for this maximum payment, you would need to have contributed the maximum amount to CPP for at least 39 years of your working life. That means earning at or above the year's maximum pensionable earnings threshold consistently throughout almost your entire career. For the average Canadian retiree starting CPP at 65 in 2026, the reality is quite different. The average new retirement pension is projected to be around $847 per month. That's nearly $600 less than the maximum. This is the number that reflects what most real Canadians are actually getting, and it's crucial you understand where you fall on this spectrum. The difference between the maximum and the average reveals a harsh truth about retirement income in Canada. Many workers had gaps in their employment, periods of lower income, years raising children, time spent caring for elderly parents, or simply worked in jobs that didn't pay enough to contribute the maximum amounts. All of these factors reduce your final CPP benefit. Now let's talk about old age security, because this is where things get really interesting for 2026. The basic OAS payment for those aged 65 to 74 is set at $718.33 per month, starting in January 2026. But here's something critical that many seniors don't realize. If you're 75 or older, you're entitled to a higher payment. For those aged 75 and up, the OAS payment increases to $790.16 per month. That's an additional $71.83 every single month just for reaching that age milestone. Over a full year, that's an extra $861.96 in your pocket. This age 75 increase was introduced to help older seniors who face higher costs, particularly for healthcare, medication, and other age-related expenses. If you're approaching 75 or already there, this automatic increase happens without you having to apply for anything. Service Canada adjusts your payment automatically in the month after you turn 75. But here's what frustrates many financial experts and seniors advocates. Why is there this distinction? Why do people aged 65 to 74 receive less when many of them also face significant expenses? The government's rationale is that older seniors typically have depleted more of their personal savings and face higher medical costs, but this remains a point of controversy in retirement income policy discussions. Let me explain something that catches thousands of seniors off guard every single year. The OAS Clawback, officially called the OAS recovery tax. If your individual net income exceeds a certain threshold, the government starts taking back some or even all of your OAS payment. For 2026, this clawback threshold is set at $93,266 in net income. Once your income crosses this line, you lose 15 cents of OAS for every dollar of income above that threshold. If you're a single retiree with substantial RRSP withdrawals, rental income, investment income, or still working part-time and earning good money, you could see your OAS reduced or eliminated entirely. The full clawback happens when your net income reaches approximately $153,000. At that point, your OAS is completely eliminated. Now, some of you might think, well, if someone's making over $90,000, they don't need OAS anyway. But consider this scenario. You're a retired professional who saved diligently in your RRSP for 40 years. Now you're forced to convert it to a RRIF and take minimum withdrawals. Those mandatory withdrawals could push you over the threshold, triggering the clawback on a benefit you paid taxes to support your entire working life. This is why strategic income planning becomes absolutely critical as you approach and enter retirement. Let's address the Guaranteed Income Supplement because this program is a lifeline for hundreds of thousands of low-income seniors, yet it remains one of the most misunderstood benefits in the Canadian system. GIS is designed to top up the income of seniors who have little to no income beyond OAS. For 2026, a single senior with no other income beyond OAS could receive up to $1,195.33 per month in GIS. That's in addition to the basic OAS payment. When you combine maximum GIS with OAS, a single low-income senior could receive $1,913.66 per month in total government support. For couples where both receive OAS and both qualify for GIS, the maximum GIS payment per person is $719.16 each. The GIS is income tested, meaning it reduces as your income from other sources increases. Every dollar of employment income, CPP, private pension income, or RRSP withdrawals affects how much GIS you receive. Here's where it gets complicated. Different types of income are treated differently. Employment income, for example, has an exemption of $5,000, then 50% of the next $10,000 is exempted. But investment income, rental income, and foreign pension income have no such exemptions and reduce your GIS dollar for dollar. This creates some counterintuitive situations where working part-time or withdrawing from your savings can actually leave you worse off financially because you lose more in GIS than you gain in income. Some seniors find themselves trapped in what's called a benefit cliff, where earning just a bit more income results in a significant reduction in benefits, creating an effective marginal tax rate that can exceed 70 or even 80%. Financial advisors who specialize in retirement income planning spend considerable time helping seniors navigate these treacherous waters. Now let's talk about something that confuses almost everyone: CPP enhancement and how it affects future retirees. The CPP enhancement that began in 2019 is gradually increasing both the amount Canadians contribute and the amount they'll eventually receive. This enhancement is being phased in over 7 years, from 2019 through 2025. What this means is that if you've been contributing to the enhanced CPP during these years, you'll eventually receive a higher retirement benefit than someone who retired before the enhancement. However, and this is important, the full impact of CPP enhancement won't be felt for decades. Someone retiring in 2026 will only see a very modest increase from the enhancement because they've only been contributing to the enhanced portion for a few years. The real beneficiaries are younger workers who will contribute to the enhanced CPP throughout their entire careers. For them, CPP could replace up to 33% of their earnings up to a higher earnings ceiling, compared to 25% under the old system. But if you're already retired or retiring soon, don't expect CPP enhancement to dramatically change your benefit amount. Let me share some numbers that illustrate the real-world impact of these benefits. If you're single, 65 years old, and receiving average CPP of $847 plus basic OAS of $718, your total monthly government pension income is $1,565. That's $18,780 per year. Now ask yourself, can you live on that amount? In some parts of Canada, particularly rural areas with lower costs of living, this might be sufficient if you own your home mortgage-free and have no debts. But in cities like Toronto, Vancouver, or even smaller cities with rising costs, this amount leaves many seniors struggling. For a couple where both receive average CPP and both receive OAS, the household total would be $3,130 per month, or $37,560 per year. Again, this is more manageable, especially for couples who own their homes outright, but it's still modest, and any unexpected expense, a major home repair, a health issue requiring private care, or even just rising property taxes can create serious financial stress. This brings me to one of the most important points I can make in this entire discussion. Government pensions were never designed to be your only source of retirement income. They were designed as a foundation, a base level of income security that you build upon with personal savings, employer pensions, and investments. The reality is that CPP and OAS together will likely replace only about 40 to 50% of your pre-retirement income, and that's if you had average earnings. If you had above average earnings during your working years, the replacement rate is even lower because CPP has an earnings ceiling. This is why financial planners consistently emphasize the importance of TFSAs, RRSPs, employer pension plans, and other savings vehicles. Yet statistics show that nearly 1/3 of Canadians approaching retirement have inadequate savings beyond government pensions. Some have no savings at all. This creates a retirement income crisis that policymakers are increasingly concerned about. But individual Canadians cannot wait for government solutions. You must take personal responsibility for your retirement security. Let's talk about timing, because when you start taking CPP, it makes an enormous difference to your lifetime benefits. You can start CPP as early as 60 or as late as 70. If you start at 60, your payment is reduced by 36% compared to starting at 65. If you wait until 70, your payment increases by 42% compared to starting at 65. Using the 2026 numbers, if the age 65 payment is $847, starting at 60 would give you approximately $542 per month, while waiting until 70 would give you approximately $1,203 per month. The decision of when to start is highly individual and depends on your health, your financial needs, your other sources of income, and your longevity expectations. If you're in poor health or have a shorter life expectancy, starting early might make sense. If you're healthy, have other income sources to live on, and have longevity in your family, delaying can result in significantly more lifetime income. The break-even age, the point at which delaying results in more total money received, is typically around your early to mid-80s. If you expect to live beyond that, delaying usually pays off. OAS is different. You cannot start OAS before 65, but you can defer it up to age 70. For each month you defer OAS past 65, your payment increases by 0.6%, which works out to 7.2% per year. If you defer from 65 to 70, your OAS increases by 36%. For someone entitled to $718 at 65, deferring to 70 would result in approximately $977 per month. But here's the catch. Deferring OAS only makes sense if you don't need the money and you have other income sources. Unlike CPP, which can be a strategic decision even if you need some income, deferring OAS when you're struggling financially makes no sense. I want to address something that creates tremendous anxiety for many seniors. Will these benefits be there for future generations? Will the government reduce or eliminate CPP and OAS? Let me be clear. CPP is one of the most sustainably funded pension plans in the world. The CPP Investment Board manages over $500 billion in assets, and the Chief Actuary of Canada regularly confirms that CPP is sustainable for at least the next 75 years. Your CPP is safe. OAS is different because it's funded directly from general government revenues, not from a dedicated investment fund. However, OAS has existed since 1952, and no government has seriously proposed eliminating it. Changes, yes. Elimination, no. The political cost would be enormous. What about inflation? This is crucial. Both CPP and OAS are indexed to inflation, meaning they increase each year based on the Consumer Price Index. In years of high inflation, your payments increase to maintain purchasing power. In 2026, the indexation increase is built into the numbers I've shared with you. This inflation protection is one of the most valuable features of government pensions because it means your income won't be eroded by rising prices over time. Compare this to a fixed private pension that doesn't increase with inflation, and you'll see why CPP and OAS indexation is so important. Before I wrap up, I want to talk about tax implications because your government pensions are fully taxable income. Every dollar of CPP and OAS you receive must be reported on your income tax return and is taxed at your marginal rate. If you have other income sources, this can push you into higher tax brackets. This is why income splitting strategies, pension income splitting for those with eligible pension income, and careful withdrawal planning from RRSPs and RAFs becomes so important. Many retirees are shocked by their tax bills because they didn't realize how much tax they'd owe on their combined retirement income. One more critical piece of information. If you haven't applied for your CPP or OAS, you need to do so. These benefits are not automatic in most cases. Service Canada does send letters reminding you to apply, but the responsibility is yours. You can apply for CPP as early as 11 months before you want payments to start, and you should apply for OAS 6 months before your 65th birthday. Applications can be submitted online through My Service Canada account, by mail, or in person at a Service Canada office. Don't delay your application because retroactive payments are limited. The 2026 CPP and OAS numbers are now official, and whether they shock you or not depends on your personal situation and expectations. For some, these amounts represent a comfortable foundation for retirement when combined with other savings and pensions. For others, they highlight a significant retirement income gap that needs to be addressed urgently. The key takeaway is this: know your numbers, understand what you're entitled to, plan strategically for when to start your benefits, and recognize that government pensions are just one piece of your retirement income puzzle. The decisions you make today about your retirement benefits will impact your financial security for the rest of your life. Make them wisely, seek professional advice if needed, and don't leave money on the table by failing to understand and maximize your entitlements.